Let's talk about business case building. We've already established that you need to match data quality problems to a financial cost, but that's not enough. Whether you're starting a data management or data governance program, it's crucial to show that whatever it is that you're going to spend, you are going to make more at the end of the day, because otherwise it just doesn't make sense. So we're going to take a look at the key components of a business case for data management or data governance. Let's talk about the business case. A business case is a document that is necessary for most, if not all, data-related initiatives, whether we're talking about data management or data governance. Naturally, all initiatives in a company must prove value and they must be profitable. Otherwise, they don't get authorized. So a business case is always involved in this process. But more than that, it's important to notice that for many executives, the data seem intangible. It's hard to make them think of data as assets with possible financial gain, or they may understand the concept, but they may just resist because they don't like it or it's too much effort. So a business case always helps crystallize the gains from managing or governing data well. And profit usually shuts up even the most critic of executives. So regardless of whether promoting DG or DM, there are common elements to a business case. First, identifying the current costs of having low quality data. Second, detailing the benefits of data governance or data management. And finally, proving the financial viability of DG or DM activities. Let's start with the first component of the business case. That is, simply putting a number to the common data quality problems. That is, how much are bad data actually costing you? As we've mentioned before, data quality issues cause impact which usually belongs to one of three areas, possibly more than one. But it's either usually direct financial costs, preventing further possible revenue, or presenting regulatory or compliance costs. And naturally, the bigger the costs and the more relatable they are to the people involved, the easier that the business case is to sell, if you will. Examples include, for a company with inconsistent sales reports, you sell DG or DM as a way to increase profit with good insights. You can even assume a percentage of sales increases due to these insights, such as 5% or 10%, and you have a specific dollar value gain. Or for a company with recent regulatory fines, selling DG or DM, probably DG, as a way to prevent further regulatory sanctions. And in this case, you can take a big percentage of the amount of the fines paid. For example, eliminating 80% of the total fines paid. When describing the costs in specific, it may be useful to present the cost of what is called data debt, and to actually introduce this concept to executives. And this is the cost of applying quick fixes to data now, which will have big consequences later. It's similar to technical debt, but for data in specific. For example, instead of reformatting a database structure to allow for a new table with the new data in a different format, which would take time and resources, instead, someone creates spreadsheets and the data are saved there. It may seem like an easy fix in the short term, but you are going to pay for it later. There is no integration, probably no security controls, no governance of this data, no tracking of where that spreadsheet is going, how many copies are there. All of these unofficial and non-sanctioned databases and other data sources can easily become a nightmare. So simulating the costs of fixing the data quality issues for these types of problems, which inevitably exist in one way or another in most organizations, can also be added to the costs of not having data governance or data management. In other words, you're considering both the one-off cost of having bad data, which is to fix all of these problems, but also the maintenance costs, which are the recurring costs of fixing that data periodically. So all of the spreadsheets, databases, views, and so on, which are known as shadow IT, should be included, as well as their costs. You will usually include the costs of integrating these into a centralized data framework, but you can also include the costs of regulatory fines due to data breaches. If you have people emailing spreadsheets with personally identifiable information, especially in unprotected form via Wi-Fi, not masked or not encrypted, it really is just a matter of time, seriously. And then, at the end of the day, just like for any business case, it's just about making the numbers work. No data governance or data management program is without its costs. But at the end of the day, having a select set of people and a select set of processes to govern or to manage data will cost a lot less than the spend of fixing all of these problems afterwards. So the costs with people and tools should be included. And also, on the other hand, the gains from proper data governance or data management. And these should more than make up for these. For example, it may cost $10,000 to fix a bad dataset, but the costs of regulatory fines or technical restructuring could be $100,000 or even more. That's an example. Whatever the cost you have with people and tools should be a fraction of the costs of fixing all of these the conventional way. Also notice that it may be the case, and especially for smaller initial projects, that the initial financial benefit from DG or DM may not be that big. It is a benefit, but it may not be a big benefit from the start. In those cases, the benefit should increase as the program expands to more projects. Because what happens is, on project number 2, 3, and so on, you're still reusing a lot of the same tools and people, so the costs don't really increase, but you're eliminating huge costs with data in every case. Other important aspects to include in the business case can include, first, the actual risks of a DG or DM program. Remember, although the goal is to succeed, these can, in fact, fail, and it's important to include some risks. These don't usually occur, but they keep the business case honest and transparent. Then, what is the vision of a successful DG or DM implementation? This helps make it real for executives. How is a day in the life when all of this works? An executive may review reports of data issues, a data steward may perform audits and refine metadata, data managers may do some profiling and send remediation proposals for authorization, or they may actually execute some, which were already authorized, and so on. So what would occur in a day of work? And naturally, the specific projects that interact with data governance or data management. For example, data management can support insights for better sales, and data governance usually supports data management projects themselves. For example, if you already have a project to better manage internal product data, then besides fixing them with data management, you can also monitor and protect those data with AG. When actually presenting the business case, it's also important to keep in mind the following. First, DM can be an IT capability under the CIO. It may be or not, depending on the structure. But data governance is always a business function. Specifically, it's a control or audit function. Every department must own their data, must be accountable for their data, and must govern their data properly. Then, while both DM and DG can prove value as isolated projects, they have to go enterprise-wide soon enough. They both benefit from standardization and centralization of processes, of data rules, of data formats, and so on. Otherwise, they're just isolated success cases with no real impact. Think of customer master data. How effective are customer data if they're centralized across 2 departments but not the whole organization? You could argue they're not even centralized, and you would be right. Or data governance. What good is it to monitor and test data quality in 2 isolated teams if you don't do it for the rest of the organization? Are you even really governing data? So remember, they have to become enterprise-wide sooner or later. Then, besides these, presenting a good business case always comes down to good communication and presentation skills. First, never falling into the trap of too much jargon or complex language. Executives don't want that, and they won't respect it. Illustrate, in simple terms, what DG and DM is about. Who will do what, and how do you make money with it? Tools and people, usual activities, done. Then, showing clear numbers is important, even if they are estimations or oversimplified. For example, telling an executive the current costs are $40K per month. The costs of the GDM are $10K per month. Anybody can understand that. Don't speak in ranges and don't introduce too many variables or hypotheticals, because you won't be doing yourself any favors by doing that. Then, some or many executives may need to be more data literate before fully understanding the business case. Remember, they may not see data as assets, or they may not know that they can be monetized. So reinforcing the fundamental principles in private first always makes the presentation go better. Give them a refresher on what they need to really understand the business case. What are some examples here? First, a business case may not be needed at first. For small projects, you may not need a full business case from the beginning, but you will probably need at least some calculations, because with no clear gains, nobody's going to support the project. Then, DG is usually motivated by regulation, while DM is more focused on fixing data of low quality in small or large quantities. DG is many times motivated by regulation, which usually requires data privacy, data security, data lineage, and other types of controls. And finally, remember there must be a clear separation. If DG and DM are being performed in parallel, it's crucial to separate both responsibilities. The people doing DM should not be the ones doing DG. Remember, DG is like an independent audit. You would never have someone doing an independent audit of the same work that they did themselves. Plus remember that DG needs to detach from the team and become a transversal business function sooner or later, and it won't be able to if it's being mixed with DM. What are our key takeaways this time? The first is costs and benefits. Good reactions to DG or DM business cases are very similar to those to any other business case. Show the costs, show the benefits, and suggest a solution. Then, remember, there are three main cost categories. Data quality problems either actually cause direct financial cost, they prevent possible revenue, or they cause compliance fines. Then, remember to crystallize the costs of current issues. These costs should represent high numbers, including the costs of data vet, shadow IT, and the maintenance of all of these data sources and tools. And finally, remember the numbers and the words. A VG or DM business case has a higher chance of succeeding if you make the numbers work first, low costs and high gains, and then present it effectively. First have good numbers, and then care about the good words. As we see, these are some of the key components for a business case for data quality issues, whether data management or data governance. You do have to link data quality issues to financial costs, but you have to go beyond it. You have to show that shadow IT, that maintaining bad quality data, and that the data debt all have a dollar value, or a value in any other currency, and that this project, a data management project or data governance, is going to cost less than it would cost to have the low quality data. Remember, at the end of the day, it needs to have a tangible financial benefit. Otherwise, no executive is going to respect it.